Really inspiring, and I believe a lot of
News. It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Eno Safo.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
That any foreigner that will find in our forest or involved in any fraud, our first option is to repatriate them back into their country. And we will not compromise on this.
Ghana's Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, reveals government's plans to fighting foreigners in galamsey. He says foreigners who are arrested engaging in galamsey would simply be deported rather than prosecuted. We have a debate here on Eyewitness News. Meanwhile, the new IGP, Christian Tete Yohono, has declared war against the menace.
We are declaring war on crimes related to illegal mining, and I expect every regional commander to take decisive action to bring perpetrators to justice.
More on the Stop Galamsey Now campaign. And still on Eyewitness News, nine persons injured in a huge inferno that engulfed the Adom Market in Kumasi. We'll be getting you update on the situation there. And later on Eyewitness News, Ghana Black Stars ready themselves ahead of a crucial World Cup qualifier against Chad. We'll be gauging the mood in the camp and also bring you live coverage and live commentary from 7 p.m. after Eyewitness News. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on that and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Telecoms Chamber hopeful VAT reforms will lower data costs.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a host of affiliate stations. In the Northeast region, we are in Wale Wale on Eagle 94.1 FM. We are in Upper West region in Laura on Westlink 88.1 FM. If you go to the Upper East region, we are on Word 88.3 FM in Zuarungu. In the Northern region, we are on Dasuma in Yendi on 99.1 FM. If you go to the Volta region, we are live on multiple platforms, including in Pando on Akwini Radio 96.7 FM and also on Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohwe. In the Ashanti region, we are live in Kumasi on Orange 107.9 in Kumasi. If you go to the Ahafo region, we are live on Hames Radio 106.5 in Goso. In Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Western region, we are in Takrady on Premier 100.5 FM. And we are also on Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady. Eyewitness News is also live on citinewsroom.com. That's our website. We are live on our website as well, citifmonline.com. We are live on Facebook. We are on YouTube. And we are interactive. Join us with your messages on 0549 986 996 on WhatsApp. And on Twitter, now known as X, simply send me a message using the hashtag Eyewitness News. Do send the message by mentioning my handle at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda. I'm here with Eno Safo, who brings us our first story. Eno.
Interior Minister Mohamed Muntaka says government will deport all foreigners who are arrested for engaging in illegal mining or galamsey. Mohamed Muntaka says the move is one surest way of fighting galamsey. He was speaking at a meeting with regional police commanders in Accra.
The galamsey, I've since written to the IGP that henceforth, any equipment that we find either in our forest or galamsey site, the chassis number of that vehicle or that equipment be forwarded immediately to us, and then we'll get the owner. So if you are renting your bulldozer or other equipment to galamseyers and you are sitting at home, yes, we go to the site, they run away, but we have the chassis on the facility, the truck, and we will come pick you at home. And I've written to the IGP, this is something that we need to look at. The foreigners that we find in those forests, what do we do to them? Since I became the Minister of Interior, we have countries that we have found in fraud and in galamsey activities. I want to, any foreigner that we find in our forest, immediately call your colleague from the immigration for them to pick them, because we have decided that any foreigner that we find in our forest or involved in any fraud, our first option is to repatriate them back into their country. And we will not compromise on this. So as regional police commanders, I have written to the IGP insisting that if any commander, we found that you get foreigners and you cannot forward them to us for repatriation, then that may mean that you may not want to stay in that region, and therefore we may have to remove you to where maybe you may not have to see galamseyers or illegal people conducting activities in our country. Other questions that I want all of us to be thinking about.
Interior Minister Mohamed Muntaka. The Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohonu, has declared an all-out war on illegal mining, also known as galamsey, saying it poses a serious threat to national security and the environment. Speaking at the Police Regional Commanders Conference in Accra, the IGP says galamsey, the Boko conflict, and recent attacks of mobile money vendors must be on the priority list of all regional commanders.
Illegal mining poses a significant security risk, particularly in our forest reserves and mining communities. In regions like the Western North and many others, have carried out brutal attacks on innocent people, including forest guards, without justification. This lawlessness must not be allowed to continue. We are declaring war on crimes related to illegal mining, and I expect every regional commander to take decisive action to bring perpetrators to justice. The Boko conflict and national security implications. Another pressing issue is the prolonged conflict in Boko, which has profound national security implications. As law enforcement officers, we must restore lasting peace in the area. Many of you have extensive experience in conflict resolution and international peacekeeping. We must apply the for this issue to persist for years without a concrete resolution. Attacks on mobile vendors. Honorable Minister and the senior police officers, I am citizens who are simply trying to earn an honest living. In some cases, these attacks result in loss of lives. We must adopt innovative crime-fighting strategies and countermeasures to end these heinous acts. Criminals constantly seek ways to stay ahead of law enforcement, but we must be proactive in outmaneuvering them. Ladies and gentlemen, let me state that my administration seriously considers with disdain public perception issues such as corruption, police intimidation, excessive use of force, procedural injustice, etc., that continue to undermine the police service. These issues directly affect the service's credibility and cannot be tolerated. I therefore urge all regional commanders to take deliberate steps to address them and uphold the reputation of our institution, the welfare of our officers. Regional commanders, in our efforts to provide effective service delivery, let us also prioritize the well-being of the men and women under our command. Medical care, accommodation, and overall working conditions must be there for achieving our security objectives. Once the Police Council is constituted, all pending petitions regarding police promotions and welfare matters will be referred for consideration.
Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohunu.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. So he's spoken about police welfare, but before then he spoke about galamsey. He has declared war on galamsey. Before him was the Minister for the Interior, whose ministry covers the Ghana Police Service, the Honorable Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, who has said if foreigners are found engaging in illegal mining, they will simply be deported. Let's speak to someone who has been at the forefront in the fight against galamsey. He has a media coalition that he's leading against galamsey and has been following keenly the various policies in the fight against galamsey and the issues that have come up. Engineer Kenashigbe, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, Umaru.
Well, when Aisha Juan was deported, it was a big issue in this country. And when she came back without the consent of the government, and there was even a statement made by the president that she may not have been deported, it became a bigger scandal. Now we are hearing from the Minister for the Interior that henceforth if we arrest anybody engaged in illegal mining, and that person being a foreigner, they would simply be deported. I don't know if that's a solution, you think, to dealing with foreigners engaging in illegal mining in the country.
Well, Omar, thank you. But let me state first by saying that this government is on the right track in dealing with the issue of galamsey. There are a lot of the correct things that are being done. The declaration of war on galamsey is up. The issue about using the chassis numbers to trace back to those who have imported all of this so that we can get the kingpins is correct. The fact that now we've had His Excellency the President add his voice to it and asking those in his government who wants to go into mining, to resign first before they do it. All of those things are correct and are the right things to do. And all of us as the media coalition, we need to add our voices to support the government to succeed. But there are a few things that are not going right. One of them is just what you pointed out. The Minerals and Mining Act, as amended in 2019, provides stiffer sanctions. And your introduction is the reason why the policy direction by the Honorable Minister is the wrong one. Aisha Juan was supposed to have been deported. Our borders are porous. When you deport these criminals, they will come back again. So what you should do is that you should set up a 24-hour fast-track court, like what the UK did when they had their routes, so that within 24 hours, these foreigners, when they are arrested, they are taken to court. They are fined. The fines are used to be able to restore our forest, our water bodies. And then after they finish serving that long sentences, then we deport them. We should not just deport them. When we do that, they will come back. So that is not a correct policy in the midst of all the right things that this government is currently doing. This is one of the wrong ones. Another wrong one is the airline 2462. His Excellency the President, when he was in opposition, promised us that he was going to revoke or repeal that particular act. Going to amend one section of it is not a solution. There are several things about that law that makes it wrong that needs to be repealed.
But you do know that we are not a country in an island or in an isolation. We are in an international community where we have a number of negotiations and deals that we have made with other countries. We have all these treaties that we have signed. There's a possibility that for every suspect we arrest and deport, we would also get some benefit from that country that we have deported the person to. Have you considered the international relations dimension to this fight against galamsey, that perhaps arresting and jailing them may not necessarily work for us?
You had a Chinese ambassador, one of the Chinese ambassadors say to us that it is not only Ghana that we have gold in. Why is it that we are allowing their people to come in and do the things that they are doing? They are blaming us for that. When we jailed Aishawan, have you seen the Chinese pack off our country and go? No, they would not. Because some of the things that
but you notice that we eventually, we first sent her back, perhaps to appease the Chinese government?
But again, that's what I'm saying. Honorable Safumafu that made that very, very unfortunate statement. I'm telling you, if you go to China now and you break one of their laws, they are not going to say because you are Ghanaian and they come into your country and come and do things. What is happening in today's world, with what Trump is saying, the first thing that we all should be doing is about thinking about how we take care of ourselves before we start looking at some of these secondary matters that are really of very little consequence so far as our development is concerned. So I am sure that because these are laws that existed, that when the parliament itself, that had both the NDC and MPP in there, in 2019, when they were amending these laws and ensuring that anybody who fell foul of the law was prosecuted and stiffer punishment passed, they definitely knew of all the international dimensions to this particular act. And we have seen it happening globally, where everybody is taking care of its own. The U.S. is deporting people, into people who even have permits and all of that just because they attended a funeral of somebody. How much more somebody who is contributing to the ecocide and the genocide that is happening? And it's important that we call out the Chinese. In as much as the other foreigners, the Chinese element in this particular, war that we are waging, it's very, very significant. And so we need to deal with the challenge when the Chinese are arrested and they are taken to court. We are told by the court that there are no translators and so they are allowed to go. All of these things we need to deal with very, very decisively. That's why I'm happy that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources that is working with the Attorney General and then the Chief Justice to ensure that some fast-track courts are set. Those fast-track courts, they should follow the NDC 24-hour economy and the 24-hour courts. That would deal with, instead of deporting these people, we should definitely try them. Find them guilty, because most of them, you will find them in the theater of the crimes that they are committing. I can tell you for a fact that in one of the forest reserves that they went into and they saw excavators. Unfortunately, those excavators had their control boards taken out of them. When the Forestry Commission returned the next day, they had all been moved away. And they have a troop of Chinese people who specialize in dealing with these things. And they are the people who are at the heart of it. So this foreigners thing, if we just deport the porous borders of this country, they will just come back in again and they will come continuing to perpetrate the thing as Aishawan has demonstrated to us.
Let me sound very simplistic. There are people who hold the view that when you arrest criminals, prosecute and jail them, you are just adding unnecessary expense to the state coffers. So you have an extra prisoner to feed and all of that, and that the prosecution process requires a lot of money. Now, if deporting them would save us money more than sending them to prison, why should we not just deport them? Because first of all, you take the person through the prosecution, it costs a lot of money, you take them to prison, and you have to take care of them for the period that they are in your custody. Have you considered that option?
Oh, completely. So again, typically like the engineer in me, I'll do the total cost of the two options that you're giving to me. Every acre of land that is a hectare of land that is destroyed by these galamseyers will cost you $40,000 to be able to reinstate. When you deport these Chinese people or these foreigners and they come back and they go into your forest and they go start destroying your forest, the amount of money that it would cost you. And then again, Omaro, put a cost to the lives that we're losing, the renal diseases that we're getting. Our water bodies where turbidity goes to 14,000 NTs. The child that is born with 4 legs and 2 hands. And you tell me that the cost of the damage that these people are doing to us, you need to spend every amount of money to ensure that you can deal with them. You think it's for nothing that other countries will spend a lot of money to deal with war? When you are in war, when your lives are the life of your citizenry are at stake, there's no amount that is too much. So the cost of prosecuting these people and then fining them, that's why the makers of the law, the 2019 amendment, stiffen the fines that are involved in it, and then the punishment is the fines. You could then do the fines plus the custodial sentences. So what you would do is that the fines that you will get, whatever you're able to get out of those fines, you use that as a means of taking care of the prosecution and all of that. Even if you don't get any money, it's important that the fact that people will get to know that when you come into Ghana and you misbehave and we catch you, will arrest you. Like if you're going to Malaysia, when they give you a visa, they stamp in your passport that when you are found with drugs in Malaysia, it is death sentence. So once you are going into Malaysia, you will know that if you attempt to go and do that, you will die. We need to get to the point where when we're giving the Chinese and other foreigners visas to come into Ghana, we stop and say, if you come into Ghana and we find you either engaged in galamsey or aiding and abetting in it, it is a 30-year sentence that will be carried out in 24 hours. It would send the right signals to say that these are people in war, these are people who want to preserve their civilization, and we are really serious about it.
Before you go, the much anticipated and awaited LI on mining in forest reserves has been laid in the House, despite earlier challenges that came about. I don't know. So we are just counting out to 21 days.
That is bogus.
Why?
That amendment that has been laid is bogus. It has to be withdrawn. So we should be asking the NDC that has majority in Parliament. We should be asking the MPP that has majority in Parliament to say that law should not, the LI should not be amended. It should be completely revoked. Because the mischief within that law is not only the fact that the president would be able to permit mining in globally significant biodiversity areas, but it's the fact that even the law itself lacks legislative correctness. The EPA are the people who sponsored that law. The EPA does not have any law that parent law that mandates them to be able to come up with that LI. In that particular LI, you will find out that when they have turned around the permitting structure for allowing mining in forest reserve. In the past, it's the Forestry Commission that would have to permit it first before you go into the process. The way they have done it by section Regulation 4 of the LI and Schedule 1, you would have to go to the Minerals Commission, go to the EPA, and at the end of it, before you will come to the Forestry Commission. By that time, the person would have spent a lot of money to be able to do that. By that time, people like the Minerals Commission, the EPA, even the minister would have given their consent. And then are you expecting the CEO of the Forestry Commission, who is an appointee of the minister, to now start saying no? So there are various elements within that law. And currently, myself and some CSOs, we are in court challenging the legality of that particular law. And so we have sent a petition to the Subsidiary Legislative Committee saying that that law, by the way LIs are supposed to be done, it has to be annulled so that then we need to then pass another one that revokes it If we want to take another law, let's do a proper engagement and not be using allies to try to be changing what executive instruments do in setting aside forest reserves.
Let's talk about another commission before you go, the Minerals Commission. Now, the government, through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, has recently revoked the licenses given to small-scale mining companies after the December 7 election. Curious enough, though, the head of the Minerals Commission is one of the very few people who have not been removed by this government. What do you make of that? There are people who say blame the Minerals Commission and the boss for everything that's happening, and yet that boss remains at the Minerals Commission, and it appears we are blaming everybody else but the commission and its head. What do you say?
You have just stated what the obvious is going to be. What definitely, and again, what we should add is the fact the reasoning for revoking all of those permits that have been issued, as said by the government, is that there were procedural errors. So who caused the procedural errors? And we all know that for leadership, it is the person who is in charge that should be held responsible. So if those were all done wrongly, and to the extent that it has been revoked, the government coalition against galamsey, our stand against that is that the person who led that, what is the CEO for the Minerals Commission, should definitely fall as this appointment should be revoked, as the appointments of those permits have been revoked. And so for us, it's just that's what seems the obvious. And so we are surprised that after the revocation of all of this that had been done, and it's possible that there might be some innocent persons, that might be involved in all of this, who have lost a lot of opportunity and all of that. If they have lost it, why is it that the person who supervised that, and again, you would have thought that he would have done that with the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, and if the people of this country have removed it, then definitely you'll be expecting that the CEO of the Minerals Commission as well, who then supervise this, also should be answerable to those procedural errors that occurred.
Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
That's Engineer Ken Ashigwe. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
That's a lie. He's calling you from a guest house in Asylum Down.
Please, an SMS was delivered across to our customers this morning. Didn't you receive any SMS, or you haven't checked?
The truth is that he's a scammer.
Please kindly cross-check your message to be sure about this, because your account requires an update.
This is where they play games with your mind.
Without you updating, you won't be able to access your account for any transaction, either outgoing or incoming.
Your bank or service provider will never call or text asking you to update your account or verify sensitive information like your PIN, Ghana card, or bank card details. Looks can be deceiving. Pay better attention to details to avoid getting scammed. For more information, visit www.ecobank.com. Ecobank, a better way, a better Africa. Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Gugomi, at what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make I feel the gobe too small.
Go, the go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News. Let's do some more stories. Personnel of the National Ambulance Service have confirmed 9 persons, including 3 fire officers, have been injured in the devastating fire at Adom in the Ashanti region. The service says some of the victims suffered panic attacks and were rushed to nearby health facilities by the paramedics. Speaking to Citi News, Ashanti Regional Manager of the National Ambulance Service, Somik Dutz-Millen, stated that the victims are responding to treatment.
I think this morning we attended to a number of casualties. You know, in fire outbreak, it's always obvious that people would have panic attacks, and people who are working to control the fire can't get involved in one way or the other, injuries and all that. So we attended to about 3 fire officers who were injured, and we moved them to Menchia and then Confrontative hospitals. And we also attended to other victims or casualties who had panic attacks. Some had some trauma, things fell on them, and we have to attend to all of them and move them to the hospitals. So in all, as we talk now, we've attended to about 9 casualties, who were able to manage effectively, and then we moved them to the hospitals. And there were also other people who had who were feeling dizzy and other things. We kept them in the ambulance, resuscitated them, and they were fine. So we advised them that they go to the hospitals by themselves. But those we moved to the hospitals were about 9 casualties together as at this afternoon. So those that we sent earlier, anytime we send a follow-up, any casualties to this process, we will follow up on them to see if they are doing well. And so far, the response is that all that we've sent to the hospitals are doing very well. They are responding to treatment. Some of them actually have been discharged, and I think others are still receiving treatment.
You heard Ashanti Regional Manager of the National Ambulance Service, Somik Dutz-Millen. The Chief Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Daniela Mausi-Nto, also refuted claims that fire tenders dispatched to the scene lacked water.
The fire has been confined and everything is fine. We just have to try to maintain that it doesn't spread again. Our firemen are here with their appliances, and I believe in them. They are going to work to ensure that how far they've curtailed it is not going to spread again. But the fire actually is under control. They are doing salvaging, so for now, you would have to give us time for us to finish everything before we can go further to discuss any other issues with you. You know, our fire engines, it takes about 2 seconds, 2 minutes, the fire would finish. If seriously is under pressure and would have to do a serious business within a twinkle of an eye, but we can never say there's no water in it. How can a soldier go to war without a gun? It is impossible. So that's the thing. I think either press should help us and encourage people to know that we don't come to fire scenes where there is no water. And who even said there's only water we use to quench fires? We have so many things we use to quench fires. Foam compound, we have the dry powder, and a lot of other things we use to quench our fires.
You heard Chief Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Daniela Mausi. President John Dramani Mahama also visited the scene and pledged to support the affected traders. He also cautioned traders against cooking in the market, noting that the use of gas cylinders contributed to the incident.
Anope me ba asantememu se ye beye dwumadie bi ewo ankawie ye Tree for Life initiative na mebesi ye no na regional minister eka atorenchen bia esi ewo edum ha nti sesi a na ewie sa dwumadie no na mese mentu anamon embehwe na esi na ampanso eyareho if say wo hwe enyoma asai ene enkofo stores a ahye na eyade a eyo hawiye enti nedikan meda fire service for ase ene modern bo amoye ya omwetimi abre ejano anu ase na yewie anu a na yahwe na ema ni si enso ade baako a fire for aka kire me ne se ombedru ye no sen na ombetimi awuremu etimi akodum jano eno ya de kwa eha omuye na ohwe a yedwam bebre saa netie enti eja tomu a sen na fire for betimi edru ho etimi edum jano ntem no
na abeye ohaw ama omo enti o se ye di we sua nyansa na ye hwe ye dwa no da ye planning ye se na be ya bibi kosi a na etimi aso ano ntem enti ye ni minister ne edwadifo no ebeka ya ka kire nadmo se ombehwe na omompe emoa bi emfa mo omo kakra ye ni chief of staff nso bekasa enti nya Asante regional minister eni ombeka no na ya hwe emoa ebetimi de aboa omo se na be ya omo so ombedina yi comfort kakra.
A little translation of what the president said. He said he came to the Ashanti region for a project, but after the regional minister informed him of the fire, he visited the scene. He says he appreciates the efforts of the Ghana National Fire Service in fighting the blaze. He also noted that the firefighters said that the congestion in the central business district made their work difficult, and he's asking that we all learn from the incident and plan our markets better. He has also directed NADMO in the Ashanti region to assist the victims with relief items.
So he said, the last line there, you said that he said we should learn lessons. Did he say?
Yes, he said we must learn from this incident and plan our
great.
markets
Which
better.
is actually going to be my question to Alex King Nate, ADO1. Alex King Nate, he's a member of the Ghana National Fire Service communication team. Mr. Nate, welcome to Eyewitness News. What lesson have we learnt from today, and how would that inform policy moving forward in the fight at the Adom Market?
Okay, Sandra, good evening and thanks so much. The lessons, Sandra, we've kept, we as a service have learned it, and we keep putting it in our recommendations to the various assemblies. Now, the implementation or the will by the assemblies to implement these recommendations have always been the problem. So the lesson is that we keep learning them every day, and these are no new lessons. And we're hoping that by now, as a people, we would have learned from these lessons and then avoided some mistakes such as congestions in our markets, such as keeping gas cylinders in the market areas or cooking in the market areas. By now, these lessons should have been learned, and we as a nation should have gotten beyond this, but we keep coming back to the same old thing every day.
The issue of access to routes always comes up when there's a fire outbreak in a major market. When markets are being built, does the fire service have any role? Do you play any role at all in how the market structure or design is, so that we make provisions for tenders?
So ideally, market areas should be built with fire service incorporated into it. Standard markets, which have incorporated or implemented the recommendations of the fire service, has not seen any fire outbreak in quite a while. I can mention Kaneshi Market. I'm sure you don't remember the last time you ever heard of any fire at Kaneshi Market, because they put up per the recommendations that we made. They implemented it, and so far it has worked out very well. Even with KJTR Market, you realize that in the wake of these market fires, when we entered the new year, there was a fire there, but the fire didn't cause so much trouble because it just affected one or two stalls inside. So we are hoping that when recommendations are implemented, we shouldn't be back here having this discussion. So we as a service always make recommendations. But again, some of the assemblies find ways to circumvent and have these markets without having to pass through fire service. And that becomes a big challenge. Sometimes also the plan that they might present to the fire service might be different from what they might actually build. Look at an area like this Adom KGTR area. I'm sure, Sandra, with you wouldn't even want to drive your car through that area. The place is so congested that even an aboboya or a tricycle will find it difficult navigating through, how much more a big appliance like the fire tender. So congestion has always been a problem for us. Even as the fire was spreading, we were hoping to be able to use other access routes to cut the fires and prevent it from further spread. But the congestion was not allowing our men to get enough room to be able to tackle the fire from different angles.
Monitoring the TV screens today, it appears your problem was not just the issue of congestion. You were dealing with a story building, and the engines we have, you needed a 10-table ladder, as you call it, on your engines. Did you have that readily available today with fires on the top floor of the story buildings?
So the timetable that came later. I think it came about 30 minutes after the crew, the first team arrived. So it's I have to concede that we've always spoken about the lack of appliances on our part, and it's been over 13 years since I think the last time we were resourced was under President Adom Market, where he bought quite a number of fire tenders for us. And since that time, we've not had any fire tenders bought for the fire service. So we've been constrained. But nevertheless, we've been committed and we've demonstrated capability to fight fires. And so the timetable ladder, yes, it could have done the job. But if the issue of congestion or accessibility was addressed, I'm sure, yes, the timetable ladder could have helped. But we would have been able to still fight the situation irrespective of the availability of the timetable ladder.
You mentioned the last time you saw major equipment was at Amels's time, and I recall that, which means there will be a need for retooling. We've spoken about that a number of times. But how many fire tenders do you have that has that capacity to deal with fires on story buildings like the one you had today, where you'd had to deploy the turntable ladder 30 minutes into the fire?
So I would say we have just one in every region. Accra has one. I won't say every region though. I would have to check. But I know Accra has one turntable ladder. Cape Coast has one turntable ladder. Tema has it. Ashanti region has it. I would have to confirm for the other regions, but they are quite limited in number.
Okay. Someone wants me to ask you, he says, why don't the Ghana Fire Service conduct recce on how to access the markets when there are no fires? What do they do when there are no fires? Essentially, why do you wait until there's a fire before you test yourselves? Why don't you go test it now and say, listen, maybe perform a drill and say that based on what you have seen, it's difficult to come in there when there's a real fire, so deal with it now. Why don't you do that ahead of time?
I appreciate the question the person has asked, but the person needs to know that as a service, we don't work in a vacuum. We work as a collaborative team with other stakeholders, and the markets are the assemblies are the custodians of these markets. And so when we fight fires, we do recommendations. These congestion issues have been in our recommendations that we've given to these assemblies whenever there are fires. And it is up to the assemblies to implement and have it done. We can't do it all. We can do our part. But if the other angles or the other arms are not doing their part to help us see to the fulfillment of the recommendation, we can only go as much as recommending, identifying the hazards and recommending it.
Alex, the question is whether you should not consider doing recce or simulation exercises to check if these, for instance, you could have gone to Adom Market last week or last month or last year and realized that access was going to be a problem. Then you start taking steps to deal with it. That's the question. So that then you can say to the assembly, we have gone to Adom Market, we realize that touch wood, if there's a fire, there's no need to touch wood now. The fire actually came. If the fire comes, we will not be able to enter that market. So please go and decongest. Perhaps if you did that, and you have done that at Makola Market, and you've done that at other markets, then we would be doing more prevention rather than fighting. What do you think? So
that was still what I was saying, that this is not the first time there's been a fire in this area. And our safety teams have been going there to carry out education and doing all these simulation exercises within some portions of the market. And you see, even with a situation like this, you don't even necessarily need a simulation exercise to know that there's congestion issue. So previous fires that have happened within that enclave, I think 2 years ago, there was a fire at the PZ area. All that recommendations, the issue of accessibility has always been mentioned. The issue of accessibility has always been mentioned, and the point have always been made to the assemblies. The issue of hydrants, the protection of hydrants, have also been made to the assemblies to do more to make sure that people do not encroach on our hydrants. But you find a lot of the assemblies just interested in taking their tools rather than making sure that the things that would help us fight fires during emergencies are protected. So we've made these recommendations over and over, and we've always been expecting that the assemblies to do their part by implementing. And so when it happens like that, it becomes a problem for us because we cannot do it. It has to be the job of the assembly who will do it after we've done the recommendation.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Thanks for having me.
That's ADO1, Alex King Nate. He's a member of the Ghana National Fire Service communication team. Let me bring some of your messages. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Number of your messages coming through. This one from Akapo Jr. and Afomim says, declare our forest reserves a security zone to show high level of commitment in fighting this albatross on our necks. Courage in Kofrido says the biggest story here is that they are now going to go after the owners of seized excavators, and that's good news. What happens to the arrested small boys? I'm not sure I'll get that message. Let me go to the next one. Nyodig Niatukwekwe in Accra says galamsey will be defeated by this government, unlike the previous administration. Oral should even go for our $3 million purchase of drones, which was meant to fight galamsey by the previous government. Deporting alone is not enough. They must drink the polluted water immediately and see what it means. Kennedy Onipayede says President Mahama's government is really working, and I urge the government to deal with the illegal miners who are foreigners. Yesuvi from Afienya says if the minister is serious in fighting galamsey, then he should enter Dunkanofin and drive away all foreigners and his own party people from the galamsey side. Mausi ABS staff from Abutia 30 in Volta region says, I fully support the Interior Minister's stance on deporting foreigners engaged in illegal mining or galamsey. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Tonight, there's a big match happening. The Ghana Black Stars preparing to see if we'll be qualified to go to America, Brazil, and which other country that is hosting the World Cup?
Canada,
great. Easy visa. The person who just spoke is Gabi Ofer. He's with the Citi Sports Desk. Gabi, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Marisanda.
How is the road looking like to America, Brazil, and Canada?
I'll say it's a bit okay.
Are you sure?
Yes.
How many have we won so far?
We've won 3, lost 1.
So 3 out of 4.
Yes.
And how many games are we supposed to play before?
We're supposed to play, so the 2 games will be match day 5 and 6. So you're supposed to play 12 games.
In total?
Yes.
We've won
10 games.
10 games in total?
Yes, 10 games.
And we've won 3?
Yes.
We have 7 to go?
Yes.
Okay, we've lost 1.
We've won 3. We've lost 1.
So 4 have been played.
That's 4 games. If we play
6 outstanding.
Yes, if we play Chad today, that's 5 games. If we play Madagascar on Monday, 6 games. And then you have 4 more games to come in September and October.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Chad, they say they are nobody.
Well, in football terms, you can say that. But if you look at the Black Stars, our history when it comes to results, chalking results against the lowly ranked nations, we've not really performed. The stats are backing it. Comoros is a perfect example. Comoros kicked us out of the
African Cup,
the AFCON 2019. We lost to Comoros already. We've lost to Comoros already. They are in our group.
Yeah.
In the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. We went to Moroni at their home, Stade Moroni. They beat us by 1-0. We've lost to Mozambique. I'm giving you the lineup of countries.
You're just trying to tell me the Shashansha people we have lost to.
Yes,
so I shouldn't be happy
exactly.
with that.
Don't raise your expectations. Don't be
Chad.
too expectant that the team would go out and dominate Chad. But I expect Otuado to give Ghanaians a very good response. Like I said early on today on TV, that it's 2025. Let's put the AFCON debacle aside. He gets to start on a clean slate. He gets to win a third game. Let's not forget, because Otuado is not performing, he actually has a good record when it comes to the World Cup qualifiers, which is he already has 2 wins. Wins against Mali and the Central African Republic. Chris Hughton started the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. He beat Madagascar in Kumasi. I was at that game, and we went to Comoros and lost by 1-0. When Otto came in, he gave us 2 wins. And then the struggles started in the AFCON qualifying series. That is when he went on 6 games without recording a single win. And that led to we not qualifying for the AFCON for the very first time in 21 years.
Yeah. Okay, so he has started well for the World Cup qualifiers. It seems to have started well.
Yes.
Tonight, even though you say we shouldn't underrate or underestimate Chad, we still look like a better side, don't we?
Yes, on paper, we are huge favorites. Chad are ranked 176th when it comes to the world rankings.
And we are what?
We are 77th
So 100 difference.
Yes. A huge gap. And so, like we say, somebody will tell you that rankings don't play football.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a perfect example. 2 days ago, Eswatini held Cameroon to a goalless draw. Cameroon, who've got like huge stars on paper, you said that Cameroon will go on and win against Eswatini. They held Cameroon to a goalless draw. And like I said earlier on in my submission, we've lost against these kind of countries because the football hasn't been good. And it has all come under the current head coach, Otuado. So I expect the team to put up a very good performance. I'm looking out for a good performance, topping it up with a very good win at the Accra Sports Stadium.
Are fans going to watch?
Yeah.
People are excited about the team tonight. I don't know why.
Yes, a lot of people are excited, and I think the time with which the game is kicking off to is helping a lot of people.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. So you have people who work around that environment, closing and getting to the stadium, and I think that is helping. That's a very good.
Will you go to the stadium or you'll be here?
I'll be here in studio to give you the very latest from the Accra
So 7 p.m.
Yes.
Then we are doing live commentary.
Yes.
Gabi Ofe Milito. Thank you so much for joining us on Eyewitness News. So Gabi will be back in the next 35 minutes or so in the next 10 minutes to bring us the live discussion, pre-match discussion before the live commentary at 7 p.m. But that would be before, that would be after Eno. Yes. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah,
we understand.
I know. Thank you. Eno, are you hopeful that we'll win tonight?
Yes, I'm wearing a jersey, even though I have a bit of, I'm a bit skeptical, but in coming to support my Chad.
I say more. Chad, Njamina. Let me take a break and we'll bring you business news and then we have football. There'll be no point blank tonight. Thank you for listening to Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Football's magic never fades, even from the couch. The sound of halftime banter, replays at the touch of a button, cheering with my chosen crew, pure game magic. It's like I'm there, but with a better view from the comfort of my home. Priceless. From the March 3rd to April 30th, pay with your MasterCard, online or in-store, and stand a chance to win a unique priceless viewing experience of the UEFA Champions League final for you and your friends. MasterCard, proud supporter of non-stop fans. T's and C's apply.
Channel 1 TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on Channel 363. On GoTV, we're on Channel 117. And on HD+, get us on Channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Channel 1 TV. Channel 1 TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box, like the DSTV and HD+ boxes. Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Inu Safo. Let's settle for the details. The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications is optimistic that the government's commitment to reforming the VAT system will help reduce the cost of data. While the chamber acknowledges that Ghana's data prices remain competitive, it notes that there is still room for further reductions to enhance affordability and digital access. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, has been speaking with Citi Business News.
The issues around the perception of the cost of data. The interesting thing about it is that, as we all know, the cost in a very competitive environment that we are in, all the telcos and then all the ISPs and all of that are competing, and they all would want to compete on price. And so there are a lot of price reductions that are there. But then, what is your margin? The cost of producing the data, and you will find out that for the telecom sector last year, when we did the total tax report, for every 1 CD that is paid into the sector, about 40 point something pesos goes back as taxes. That's a big element of the reasons for the cost. And so we're waiting for this VAT review that the ministry has talked about. Hopefully the COVID will go, we will restructure it again so that when you spend 100 CDs on buying data. 27 cedis of that is not paid to government in terms of the VAT and all of that go onto it. And then that can be reduced, and then it can reduce the cost of data. The other input cost in terms of the fees, the charges, and all of that are good. We can all look at that.
Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe is Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. National Coordinator of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Dr. Farid Arthur, is advocating for regional solutions to ensure that trade barriers within the sub-region are addressed. Dr. Farid disclosed that most member states within the African Continental Free Trade have protocols that only serve the interest of that particular state at the detriment of other member states, hence making it difficult for free flow of trading activities. Speaking at the Central Regional Dialogue on AFCFTA protocols on women and youth, Dr. Farid Arthur called for a common tariff system among member states.
Even with ECOWAS, there's a certain measure of free movement. You can move from one place, but the borders are still there. We want the borders to fall off. But you see, the borders will only start falling off when the countries start working as one. As long as we keep our individual identities, it becomes very difficult. You know, you're talking about security. Security is not a one-person thing. It's a community thing. So we must now start thinking not national, but regional. We must have regional security arrangements. Must have regional logistic arrangements. If I want to move goods freely from here to Togo, it means Togo must also be able to move goods inside here. So we must talk together. So we are looking at a time when our heads of states and governments will start coming together, focusing on this issue and looking for a regional solution more than the country solutions that currently we seem to opt for. And you create what we call the enabling environment, empower everybody, have a common tariff system amongst all of us so that it's more predictable. When I'm taking my goods from A to B, I know these are the conditions. We need to be clear on the rules. The rules are too many now.
National Coordinator of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Dr. Farid Arthur there. The Food and Beverages Association of Ghana has assured retailers and wholesalers of Grand Chateau Sangria Fort that they will be reimbursed following the recent product recall. The recall issued by the Food and Drugs Authority affects the Tetra Pak and canned variants of the product due to concerns over deceptive packaging and labeling risks and violations of Sections 97, 98, and 103 of the Public Health Act 2012, as the product is not registered with the authority. In response, Cave and Gardens Ghana Limited, the distributor, has complied with the directive and initiated a recall of the affected products. Speaking to Citi Business News, General Secretary of FABAG, Samuel Atuagre, stated that measures are in place to ensure affected retailers receive compensation.
Administrative charges were imposed. I'm sure by now they paid. The products that are being returned to the warehouses of this Cave and Garden, the retailers, the distributors will be reimbursed. So whatever that you have in your facility, be generous enough to return them to the owners to get back your money. Just make sure that the record is being taken. At the appropriate time, they will pay back the money to you. It's not appropriate for you to send it back. They will reimburse everyone who's returning the product to their facility. And then the team that will come to collect, make sure that you have the proper records that will lead to the reimbursement.
Samuel Atuagre also cautioned members to exercise due diligence in the sale of products in the country. Let's move on to some other stories now. Government is set to establish 50 farmer service centers this year as part of its broader agriculture for economic transformation policy. The Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture, John Dumelo, stated that once completed, these centers will provide farmers with modern technologies and essential farm inputs designed to enhance farming efficiency and productivity. John Dumelo noted that this initiative, along with other related efforts, aims to make agriculture more attractive to young people.
So we have the farmer service centers, which this year we're going to build 50. And so if you need any technical information, if you need any help, you can easily walk to your farmer service center and get all those information and the equipment. And for us, it's about feed Ghana and feed the industry. So first, we're going to feed Ghana. Second, we're going to feed the industry, where we're going to add value to all the things that we produce. And then the third one is to export it so that we can reduce our import bill. And so, like I said, it's an exciting time to be a farmer. It's an exciting time to be in the agribusiness space, and hopefully also the women banking is incorporated. We hope to also give out very low interest loans to women, especially the young women.
John Dumelo is the Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Inu Safo. Up next is the sports team.
Detailed news.